Hello, my name is Jeff Taggart and I'm the module convener for EDM148, the Professional Self in Early Years Leadership. This module is going to be quite appropriate for you if you're working towards early years teacher status, or perhaps you've already acquired it, or you're at a similar level working in a leadership capacity in a preschool or other early years setting. Perhaps you're also working in a reception classroom in a conventional school. It's probably not going to be so appropriate for you if you have no experience at all of working with young children, since we're going to be drawing upon this experience that we have quite regularly over our time together. This module takes the form of a kind of appreciative inquiry, looking in a positive way at the strengths that we have as leaders, at our values, our dispositions, the way in which we work in different ways with people, and how we bring that to our work on an everyday sense. So if you're looking for a kind of a module in which you're going to be getting lots of little tips and hints on things you can do in a practical way on Monday, that's not going to be the focus here. The focus is more upon helping you to develop your own philosophy of education, your own particular leadership style, and hopefully this is what you'll be learning over the course of the module will be things that you'll be coming back to in the months and perhaps years after taking it. So there are 7 different themes which we come back to over the course of the module. There's a diagram here which shows you what they look like. And we don't always start in the same place, but I'm going to start here by thinking about the ways in which early years leaders conduct supervision. And this is a requirement within the EYFS, the Early Years Foundation stage, recognising that the work that practitioners do is a kind of emotional labour. It's something which draws upon our characteristics of compassion and care and patience, and also can be quite challenging. But the skills that are required to conduct supervision are quite specific and take time to develop. So we're going to be looking at what actually makes a good supervisor and how you help to draw out the skills of the people you work with. On the similar theme, liaising with other professionals is a key theme. Multi-professional working has been a part of early years practitioners' work for some time now. What does this mean, and what are the challenges involved? Who are the kinds of professionals that an early years practitioner could foreseeably work with? And what are the backgrounds of the people who are coming to work with you, and how have they been trained? What are their characteristics, and so on. An early years practitioner is also an advocate for children's rights, and this is perhaps a new way of thinking about your practice. What does it mean to advocate for children, to stand up for the rights of families? This is something which early years practitioners have been leading on right the way back to the formation of the early nursery schools at the end of the 19th century. What this means in the 21st century is something which we'll be looking at. This leads us on to the way in which early years practitioners as leaders need to promote equality and diversity. This sounds like motherhood and apple pie. How can one be against such things? What does it mean to actually embed them? What does it mean to really live these principles? That's just something which we'll be looking at again. And as a change agent in your setting, you'll be seeking to bring about quality improvement by maximising the strengths and abilities of the people you work with. And so what's the best way of bringing about change? How can you get the buy-in, the agreement of the people you work with, some of whom might be quite resistant? Caring pedagogy is also really important as a leader. You never lose touch with that value of care and compassion in your practice, particularly if you're working as a key worker. We're going to be looking at this quite a lot of depth particularly in relation to some research which has been done on this rather controversial notion of professional love. What does this mean? Is it legitimate to love the children you're working with, or is that really a very contentious thing to be doing? So we're going to be investigating this, and previous cohorts of students have found this a very challenging and thought-provoking concept to talk about. Bearing all this in mind, early years practice can be a very demanding, very emotionally draining work, bringing about a lot of stress, taking over our lives if we allow it to. So how can we look after ourselves as early years leaders? How can we avoid burnout and make sure that we're bringing our best selves to our everyday practice? So these are all of the themes which we're going to be looking at. In terms of assessment, I'll be asking you to do a recorded presentation about the strengths that you feel like you bring as an early years leader. But more centrally, I'm going to ask you to do some research in your settings about the views of your fellow practitioners about this notion of professional love. What does it mean in a key working sense? Is it legitimate or is it impermissible? That's one of the approaches which we're taking to assessment. The way in which I teach is very interactive, drawing upon a lot of simulations, exercises, group work, storytelling. So I ask you to really get involved in this approach and to bring your honesty, your authenticity, your questioning to every session. And hopefully we'll have a great time together. So look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.